Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Kushina survived and trained Naruto in secret while the Leaf Village lied to him for years, part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto had 50 shadow clones practicing the basic jutsu and control exercises that he knew in various combinations. Some practiced body flicker while keeping a leaf on their foreheads. Some practiced tree climbing then water walking and back. Some practiced replacement while under a henge transformation. Some threw kunai at targets while others tried to block and interfere. He wasn't happy with just practicing basic techniques, but he was sure that he could convince someone he knew to teach him more eventually. And Jiraiya had drilled him with the idea that learning the basics creates a foundation for learning more complex ideas during his initial academy days. After practicing all day, Naruto was getting tired. His clones started dispelling and he could feel that he was running low on chakra. Just a little more, he thought as he tried to draw more chakra. Just what are you trying to do? A strange, deep voice boomed from everywhere. Who's there? Naruto asked as the world started to fade. But instead of the normal black that accompanied unconsciousness, he found himself underground, in front of a massive gate with a shallow, endless puddle of water underfoot. You don't have any chakra left and I didn't say that you could have any of mine, boy, the same voice rumbled from the darkness beyond the gate. Who are you? Naruto asked, approaching the gate cautiously. A wave of hate washed out from behind the bars of the gate, but Naruto just stood there, letting it wash past him. He could feel the chakra in it and that it had filled him with as much chakra as he had first thing in the morning. We're inside of me, aren't we? Who are you? What is this? Naruto asked again. Break the seal and let me out. The voice rumbled. Naruto looked up and saw a paper seal over the lock that kept the gate closed. The seal looked oddly familiar, but he couldn't place it. He hesitated for a few long seconds before a giant, angry, red fox head snapped at the gate. Let me out. Naruto jumped in surprise. Not if you're going to snap at me. And you won't even tell me your name. I'm outta here. The world came back into focus, but it was tinged in red. Naruto started practicing again and found that he was much faster and stronger than normal. It was almost like when he used body flicker, except he wasn't just faster and it wasn't just in the instant like body flicker. I have to remember to look into this after the exams, he thought as he practiced. The Chunin exams, second floor. Get out of here, scum, a voice said coldly. You'll never pass anyway, so just go home. The sign above the door read, 302, and two boys were blocking the door. Sakura had seen through a much better genjutsu just a few days before, so she easily saw through it. Sasuke just watched as a boy in green spandex got up said, I am sorry, but I must go into the test room. I am aware that we are not permitted to fight outside of the exam, but if you do not allow me inside, I will have to force my way through. Naruto looked at his teammates and said, should we help him? I thought that this was a team thing. Where's his team? A boy with long, dark hair and strange lavender eyes tapped the green spandex boy on the shoulder. Lee, come on. There are other ways in. Let's go. Lee looked like he was about to explode, but said, of course, Neji. Let us go through another entrance. Come on, guys, Naruto said calmly as the three went up to the third floor, where the exam would take place. The room was filled with many genin teams. There were headbands from the 5 major villages and several minor villages. Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino were there already. They were talking to another team that had graduated with their class. The first was a scruffy-looking boy with a puppy on his head. The second was the very shy Hinata, whose eyes were the same as that boy from downstairs, now that Naruto had a chance to take a good look at her. The third was another quiet one that Naruto didn't immediately recognize. You're here too. How troublesome, Shikamaru commented as Team 7 approached. Is this our entire genin class? Naruto asked with a smile. Man, We're all doing great if we're all up for Chunin so soon, right? How did you make it dead last? The boy with the dog sneered. You barely passed the genin exams. Sasuke must be carrying you. Ino had already snuggled right up to Sasuke. Sakura just felt ashamed for her friend. She was sizing up the other genin. Most were at least a year older than their class. Naruto laughed. Yeah, Sasuke is carrying us. Shikamaru just repeated, how troublesome. An older boy with grayish hair and purple clothes came over to the genin group. Hello there. I see that you're new. Would you like some help? I have these neat data cards that I've compiled over the years to help me strategize. My name is Kabuto, by the way. Sure, said the boy with the dog. Who've you got info on? Naruto asked, skeptically. Let's see our cards first. The purple boy pulled out 9 cards and charged them with a minuscule amount of chakra, which caused the underlying images to become visible. That's a neat trick, Naruto commented, taking his card. It read, Uzumaki, Naruto, Chakra Control, 1.510 asterisk. Chakra Level, 9/10 asterisk. Academics, 1/10 asterisk. D rank missions, 87/87 asterisk. C rank missions, 14/14 asterisk. Known ninjutsu, shadow clones, replacement, clones, transformation, technique. Known genjutsu, none. Known taijutsu, basic, self-taught. Other known jutsu, none. Elemental affinity, unknown. Kekkei Genkei, unknown, probably none. Naruto chuckled. I wouldn't put too much stock in his information, guys. He's pretty far off the mark. Naruto tried to channel just a tiny amount of chakra into the card, trying to do what Kabuto had done, but instead of going blank, the card flared up like a flashbulb and burned out. Damn it. I should have known you'd fry it. Kabuto lamented. It even hinted at it on the card. Since you've got it memorized anyway, I guess it wasn't that big of a deal, Naruto said, secretly guilty that he'd burned out the card. He handed back the blackened square anyway. Sorry that I burned it though. Take your seats, boomed a tall, scarred man wearing a black leather coat at the head of the room. Everyone scurried into seats. They took the nearest available seats, since nobody knew if there were any assigned seats. The man didn't seem to care. Welcome to the first part of the Chunin exam. This is the written exam. You will have 50 minutes to complete the first 9 questions. I will then give you the 10th question and you will have 10 minutes remaining. Anyone caught cheating will be dismissed, along with the rest of their team. He set a clock with a timer in front of the class and hit the start button saying, begin. Naruto didn't have a problem with the first 9 questions. He knocked it out in about 20 minutes, deciding to take a nap until the 10th question. Choice. The same voice woke Naruto. You can take the 10th question, but if you fail, you will never be able to take the exam again. This is it. If you decide to back out, you can take the exam again later, but your whole team will leave with you. Will you continue? Make your decisions. Naruto looked around the room and noticed a few teams backing out, mostly from other nations. The clock continued ticking, but it didn't look like anyone else was backing out. Naruto was surprised that the shy girl stuck it out. She didn't seem that self-confident, but he mentally cheered, that's right. Don't let anyone intimidate you. He slammed his hand down with a loud thud and yelled, hurry up, already. No one else is leaving, so give us the question. Get on with it. You didn't notice. The large man asked coldly. I already asked the 10th question. Sudden realization dawned on Naruto. The man had asked, will you continue? And that was the only question that mattered in the written exam. The timer still ticked down, but nobody else left. There were still 16 teams in the massive room and, as if on cue, when the timer went off, Anko appeared in the window. Are you losing your touch, Ibiki? There's so many, she commented. Just a solid group this year, Anko. Now take them to the next part of the exam, the scarred man said. Well, we'll cut this group in half, at least, before the finals, Anko replied casually. Follow me. She led the remaining teams into the heart of the village, where there was a table set up with 2 bins of scrolls and a group of proctors. There were more proctors than teams. Listen up, kids. Normally, we'd do something dangerous and deadly that would eliminate a bunch of you, but you all got lucky this year because we're doing a wholly new elimination contest. Each team is going to sign up over here. She pointed to some proctors, and then a proctor will remove 1 scroll from one of these 2 bins. The proctor will then go into the merchant district, where many of you have been staying, and hide the scroll somewhere. There are 2 different scrolls. One is a white, heaven, scroll while the other is a brown, earth, scroll. In order to pass, your entire team must bring 1 of each type, 2 scrolls, back here by sunrise tomorrow. The catch is that there will be proctors roaming the merchant district, and if they catch you, you must give up 1 scroll. You may not kill. You may not injure civilians. You may not cause property damage or steal anything but the scrolls. Anyone who breaks those rules will be sanctioned. Don't break a treaty just to make chunin, kiddies. Ibiki. This is even better than the forest of death. Now the best infiltrators will fight each other and not the best survivalists, Anko thought. There will be a 10-minute delay once a proctor takes the last scroll before you may begin. Anyone not familiar with the merchant district, we have maps with the border streets marked here. Now sign up and get moving. Time's wasting. Having home field advantage was huge for the genin of Team 7. Naruto knew all of the best hiding places throughout the village as well, so they never got nabbed by proctors. Shikamaru's team and a team from Mist managed to beat them to the return station, but 3rd of 8 wasn't bad. A team from Sand came in a few minutes behind Team 7, but Team 7 was already half asleep when that team came in. Normally, we would have simply given you all a month to prepare for the finals. But this year seems to have an abnormal number of passing teams, so we're going to have some preliminary matches, the Hokage announced. 8 teams remained after the infiltration test. All of them gathered in a closed arena with their Jonin senseis to hear about the next phase of the exam. Naruto noted the other teams and the Jonin on catwalks. Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, Hinata, Shino, Kiba with his dog, Lee, Neji, and a dark-haired girl who Naruto didn't know were all of the Leaf Ninja who had made it. He saw Kakashi on the catwalk with a Jonin wearing green spandex who looked just like Lee, but older. Among the Leaf Jonin, there was a woman with long, dark hair and red eyes next to a tall man with short, spiky black hair and a beard. There was a team from Sand, Clouds, Rocks, and Mist each. The Mist Jonin was a tall woman with long, auburn hair and green eyes. Naruto recognized her from his first C-rank mission. He hadn't had much contact with any of the genin, but he knew that ninja would be tricky no matter what and wasn't overconfident. At random, so make your way to the catwalks with your Jonin sensei, the Hokage finished. Crap, I wasn't paying attention to what the old man was saying. Here's hoping I'm not first up, Naruto thought. The entire group of genin proceeded up the catwalks while a proctor waited in the middle of the arena. Everyone was looking up at a giant board expectantly. 2 names came up: Choji Akamichi and not Naruto. Choji hopped into the arena along with one of the ninja with a rock symbol on his forehead protector. The proctor called, "Fight!" and Choji took up a defensive stance. The rock nin pulled out a kunai and threw it, but Choji dodged. When Choji dodged, the other ninja made hand signs and a wall of earth came up in front and behind Choji. The other ninja made more signs and the walls smashed into each other, but Choji broke the walls by expanding his body. Choji turned into an oversized bowling ball and rolled around, chasing the ninja from rock, until the rock ninja made more hand signs and trapped Choji in a giant earthen box. After a few minutes of slamming noises from the inside of the box, the proctor called the match for the rock ninja. The giant board changed and 2 more names came up. Naruto didn't recognize either, but a ninja from Mist with a sword and a ninja from Cloud with a sword hopped down into the arena. That battle was short, because the Cloud Nin charged his sword with lightning and cut the Mist Nin's sword in half and then stabbed the Mist Nin through the arm, pinning the Mist Nin to the wall while his other hand held a kunai at the Mist Nin's throat. The proctor called the match for the Cloud Nin. The giant board changed again, reading, Naruto Uzumaki, and, Conqueror of the Desert. Naruto hopped down as did the sand ninja dressed in black with strange face paint. Conqueror had a bundle on his back that Naruto wondered about, but he got into a fighting stance. The proctor called, fight. And Naruto body flickered at the same time creating 4 shadow clones. He hit Conqueror, knocking the sand genin back, but Conqueror's head opened up, revealing a nozzle that hissed at Naruto. Naruto replaced himself with a shadow clone that dispersed as it inhaled poison gas and 3 others' body flickered around the puppet. One hit the puppet with a low sweep kick, the second simultaneously hit it with a roundhouse kick to the torso, and a split second later the third dropped an axe kick, breaking the strange puppet into pieces with an explosion and a crack in the ground beneath it. The cloud of puppet pieces dispelled the 3 clones. As the shadow clones were dismantling the puppet, Naruto body flickered to the sand ninja who was controlling the puppet and kicked him with a roundhouse kick hard enough to make a wet crunch sound and send the sand ninja flying hard to the ground. Some of the Jonin were making conversation, but the conversations ended when Naruto destroyed the puppet and crunched the puppeteer at the same time. The proctor called the match when it was obvious that Conqueror had a broken arm and several broken ribs. Sorry I kicked you so hard, Naruto said to the injured Conqueror who had a terrified look plastered on his face. I thought you were another puppet, Naruto tried to explain, but the medics carted the sand nin off out of the arena. Naruto returned to the catwalk where the Jonin in green spandex approached him. The flames of your youth burn bright, Naruto. The man exclaimed. Yeah, right. Who are you again? Naruto asked, confused. I am Might Guy, Kakashi's eternal rival. Guy exclaimed. Your taijutsu is nearly as good as my beautiful student, Lee. Yeah, except he flawlessly mixed basic ninjutsu into his taijutsu, thought the bearded Jonin. His taijutsu is close to Jonin level and the skill of the ninjutsu that he employed is nearly the same. But the council will have a hard time approving the kid for promotion. I'm glad none of my students had to fight him. Just watch, sensei. I will prove that someone can be a ninja even without ninjutsu and genjutsu. Exclaimed the miniature version of the green spandex Jonin. The board flickered, quickly diverting Naruto's attention from the weird pair, showing Hinata Hyuga and Temari of the desert. The shyest girl from their class jumped down along with the blonde girl with a giant fan from the sand. Do your best, Hinata. Naruto cheered. The girl had obvious self-confidence problems and Naruto didn't see anyone else jumping into her corner, but no sooner had he cheered, Kiba yelled out. Come on Hinata. You can beat her. The proctor yelled, fight. And Hinata took up a strange taijutsu stance. Naruto looked at the rest of the genin from his class. Only Naruto and Kiba were cheering. Come on, guys. Show your support for your comrade. Go Hinata. You can do it, he shouted. Shikamaru, Ino, Lee, and Shino joined Kiba and Naruto in cheering for Hinata. Temari was staying away from Hinata and Hinata had activated her Byakugan. Temari used her massive fan to unleash a wind ninjutsu, but Hinata rapidly spun around, creating a dome of chakra that diverted the jutsu. They're all cheering for me. I can't let them down. Hinata thought as she ran forward, attempting to strike the elusive sand nin, but Temari was faster, keeping Hinata at bay. Hinata pulled several kunai out and threw them at Temari, hoping that it would force the sand nin into a close combat battle, but the kunai merely missed. Hinata could see the wind that Temari had used to divert the kunai and knew that the battle would come down to which one of them had more stamina. After many long minutes of battle, Hinata ran out of chakra diverting one of Temari's wind jutsu and the match ended when she collapsed from exhaustion and the wind jutsu tossed her across the arena, but it was longer than many on the catwalks thought it would be, especially Neji and Gaara. Kakashi turned to the woman with red eyes and said, You look surprised, Kurenai. She's never fought so hard as all, Kurenai mumbled. I wonder what it was that finally motivated her. I wonder. Kakashi smiled behind his mask while reading his romance novel. Naruto turned to the arena where Sakura and a girl with 2 buns in her brown hair were about to start. Naruto noted that the other name on the board was Tenten. Come on, Sakura. You can do it, he cheered. Both kunoichi took taijutsu stances. Tenten started by throwing several kunai and throwing stars at Sakura, but Sakura dodged with a body flicker and engaged Tenten up close. Tenten pulled out a kunai, slashing at Sakura, but Sakura back-flipped away, drawing a kunai of her own. Sakura quickly pressed back in, kunai in hand, but the two were near even at taijutsu. This only worked on Naruto the first time, but maybe I'll get lucky and Tenten hasn't trained against genjutsu like we have, Sakura thought. Sakura took the initiative and quickly made the hand signs for the one genjutsu she had learned from Kakashi, putting Tenten into the hell viewing jutsu. Using her opponent's momentary paralysis, Sakura rapidly struck Tenten from behind, knocking Tenten out. Well, my eternal rival, Guy started, it seems that your student has surpassed mine. I will ensure that my student trains even harder from now on. The board flickered, reading Neji Hyuga and one of the Cloud Kunoichi. Both jumped into the arena, ready for battle. Fate has decreed that I will win. There is no shame in surrender, Neji droned at the Cloud Kunoichi before the proctor even started the match. Shut up and fight, you fatalistic freak, the Cloud Kunoichi spat back. Fight, shouted the proctor. Neji activated his Byakugan and the Kunoichi started with hand signs. Neji paused for a moment before blinking once and moving toward the Kunoichi. She simply started a new set of hand signs, which ultimately did nothing to stop Neji's advance. Using genjutsu against the Byakugan. Bad idea, sweetie, Kurenai thought. That's almost as useless as using genjutsu against the Sharingan. Neji closed and began striking softly. The Kunoichi from Clouds thought she was blocking his strikes, but Neji began ticking off numbers. 2. He started. 4. He said a moment later. 8. He rapidly progressed. 16. He mumbled as his strikes gained even more speed. 32. He said as the Kunoichi noticed that she wasn't able to block anymore. 64. He said as the Kunoichi felt exhausted. 8 trigrams 64 palms, Neji breathed. He could see that the girl's entire chakra network was shut down. You cannot continue. Fate has spoken, Neji intoned as he walked back to the catwalk. The girl managed to stand up and trip herself, falling unconscious to the ground. The proctor called the match. The board flickered, showing Kiba Inuzuka and one of the mist ninja. Naruto was stunned at Neji's cold demeanor, while Lee said with as much determination as Naruto had ever heard, that is my main competition. I will defeat him. The proctor yelled, fight. And the mist nin unleashed a white fog that covered the entire battlefield. Kiba yelled in animalistic fury and a twister erupted from the mist to strike down again. The mist nin had a sword out which had blocked Kiba's attack, but his sword was now cracked. How did you find me? The mist nin asked. PFF'd. There's more than one sense, Kiba scoffed. I see, the mist nin muttered, already making hand signs. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. A giant water dragon erupted from the dissipating mist, but Kiba responded with his own attack. Garoga. Kiba and Akamaru were identical, but they spun together, creating the vortex to strike directly at the water jutsu. The mist nin ended the water jutsu, but threw a storm of kunai and shuriken forcing Kiba and Akamaru to dodge backward while he made several hand signs. Water style. Rotting mist. The mist nin summoned a fog bank of acrid yellow, but this time Kiba and Akamaru screamed as soon as they smelled it. Kiba yelled out that he resigned the match before the mist nin had a chance to attack. The board flickered again, showing Sasuke Uchiha and Rock Lee. Lee jumped down to the arena, taking up a taijutsu stance. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and took up a defensive stance. The proctor yelled, fight. And Lee swiftly moved in to engage Sasuke. Lee wasn't as fast as a body flicker, and Sasuke was accustomed to fighting 3 or 4 body flickering Narutos simultaneously, so he was able to keep up with Lee, but only just. Lee struck with a more refined leg sweep than Naruto, spinning up into an axe kick that dropped onto Sasuke's block. Sasuke rolled with the kick and tumbled to the side. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. A ball of fire blasted out of Sasuke's mouth, forcing Lee to retreat. Sasuke followed it up with half a dozen kunai thrown at several spots around Lee, hoping that at least one would find a home. Lee dodged them all and ran in to engage again. Sasuke whipped down into the same sweep kick that Lee had previously used against him, but Lee picked up both legs and launched like a missile at Sasuke, striking him in the chest with both feet. Sasuke rolled again, throwing Lee off. Sasuke body flickered behind Lee, trying to grab the taijutsu expert. Lee felt Sasuke behind him and whispered, "Gate of opening," as the first of his 8 gates opened and he evaded Sasuke's grasp. "How many gates can Lee open?" Kakashi asked Guy. 5. Guy smiled and then he yelled, "Remove your training weights, my precious student." Both combatants looked up at the catwalk, but Lee replied, "But sensei." "Don't argue. Just do it, Lee." Guy screamed. "I'll wait," Sasuke said. Lee took off the heavy weights that had been around his ankles, which fell to the ground with a loud clang. "Can we continue?" Sasuke asked. Lee nodded, moving almost as fast as a body flicker. Sasuke continued blocking, still accustomed to 3 or 4 simultaneous attacks. Compared to Lee's rapid succession of attacks, he could still keep up a good defense, but a single target was much more difficult to hit than 3 or 4 targets. Lee partially unraveled the bandages on his hands and forearms, continuing his assault on Sasuke. Sasuke dropped his defense to see what Lee would do and Lee wrapped him in his hanging bandages. As Lee began his spin, Sasuke used a shadow clone as a replacement and watched the technique from 2 angles. His shadow clone dispersed, leaving Lee triumphant, until Lee realized that it had been a shadow clone. Sasuke engaged Lee again, this time using Lee's own moves against him. Lee had long practiced with Guy using the same techniques, so he simply whispered, "Gate of healing," and fought harder. Sasuke, having seen how to open the first gate from Lee, replied, "Gate of opening," and increased his speed to keep up with Lee. "How many gates can Sasuke open?" Guy asked Kakashi. "I have no idea. I never taught him the technique," Kakashi replied. "Without physical training, it is impossible to learn to open the gates," Guy retorted. "Sasuke trains with Naruto every day," Kakashi countered. Guy grumbled as he watched his student's skin turn red and muttered, "Gate of life." Sasuke kept up with Lee only due to his intense training with Naruto and the benefit of his Sharingan. He had no illusions that he would be able to keep up without either of those advantages. Fire style. Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Sasuke unleashed a swarm of fireballs at Lee as he tossed shuriken at the speeding, green taijutsu freak. Lee batted the fireballs, seeming to ignore them as he flew toward Sasuke. "Maybe if I open that second gate. Shit. He's starting to move faster than I can," Sasuke thought as he opened the second gate. The two furiously fought for long seconds before Sasuke had a realization. "Damn it. This is stupid." He admitted that he can't use genjutsu or ninjutsu. He's only used taijutsu so far, so he probably can't defend against it. Sasuke locked eyes with the furious Lee before disengaging and watching Lee fight harder and harder against an illusory enemy. Lee opened the fourth gate, but Guy stepped in realizing that Lee was trapped in Sasuke's simple genjutsu. The proctor called the match as soon as Guy intervened. The board flashed, showing Shino Aburame and the last mist ninja. The two met in the arena and the proctor yelled, "Fight!" The mist nin started making hand signs, but a swarm of insects surrounded the poor girl. Shino remained calm in the middle of the massive insect swarm. "You'll find that I'm not susceptible to genjutsu," Shino commented as the girl tried 2 different genjutsu on him. "No, I can't lose," she screamed as the insects drained her chakra. "It's unfortunate that you were paired with me then, Because you will lose, Shino stated as the girl started to waver. She threw a kunai that Shino easily avoided. The proctor called the match as the girl collapsed from exhaustion moments later. How boring, the Miss Jonan commented. The board flickered again, revealing Ino Yamanaka and the last kunoichi from Cloud. She hopped down into the arena and the two stared at each other before the proctor yelled, "Fight!" Ino left strands of her hair as traps all over the arena while the other kunoichi charged her body with lightning chakra. Ino backed herself against a wall as the Cloud kunoichi tried to run through her hair traps, but it gave Ino enough time to aim her mind-body switch jutsu. Ino's body collapsed as she inhabited the Cloud kunoichi. As the Cloud kunoichi, she said, "I quit." The proctor said, "Okay. Since Ino Yamanaka is unconscious and you quit, both of you lose the match." Ino released the jutsu and stood up in her own body screaming about it being unfair. After several minutes of heated dispute, she decided against revealing her clan's signature intelligence gathering technique and took the loss. The board flickered to reveal Shikamaru Nara and the kunoichi from Rock. He strolled down to the arena floor and started to say, "I quit," but before he got it out, Ino yelled, "If you quit, I'll tell your mother." "How troublesome," Shikamaru muttered. "Let's get this over with." "Fight!" the proctor yelled. Shikamaru threw out several kunai, some of which had exploding tags to distract the kunoichi. She dodged and started making hand signs, but Shikamaru said, "Shadow Possession Jutsu, complete," and the kunoichi found she was frozen in place. Shikamaru walked backward and she walked backward until she bumped into the arena wall. Shikamaru said, "Sorry about this, but this was the fastest way to get this over with," as he bent forward and so did she. He whipped his head backwards into empty space, but the kunoichi knocked herself out on the wall. The proctor called the match. The board flickered again and the last two names came up. Gaara of the Desert and the last ninja from Rock entered the arena. "Will you prove my existence?" Gaara said, bloodlust dripping from his voice. The proctor yelled, "Fight!" And the Rock Nin made hand signs in rapid succession. The Rock Nin fired off a bunch of rocks at Gaara, but sand always intercepted the bullets. Nothing managed to penetrate as the Rock Nin tried attack after attack. Gaara finally got bored and the sand formed a claw, grabbing the Rock Nin and slamming him into the ground with a cough of blood. The sand continued to crush the Rock Nin after the proctor called the match, forcing the Sand Jonin to step in and calm Gaara, who just kept muttering, "Kill. Kill. Kill." The Jonin and remaining genin gathered in front of the Hokage. "Before you take a month to prepare yourselves, you will all draw numbers to determine your matches in the public arena," the Hokage said with practiced authority. "Step forward and draw your numbers." The proctors called out numbers as they filled out a chart. Neji would fight Sakura. Sasuke would fight Gaara. Naruto would fight the Mist Nin. The Cloud Nin would fight the Rock Nin. Shino would fight Tamari. And Shikamaru would skip the first round. Naruto's house, that evening. "We all made it," Naruto exclaimed to Kushina and Jiraiya. "The whole team is in the finals." Sasuke sat quietly on the couch, reading a book of poetry that he'd come to enjoy after picking it up some years ago. "Who do you have to fight, Naruto?" Jiraiya asked, genuinely curious. He hadn't been to a Chunin exam since his own decades ago, but he planned to see Naruto's Chunin exam. "And that's why you master the basics," he thought. "Some guy from Mist," Naruto said. "Sasuke has to fight that crazy sand guy and Sakura is going to fight Neji. I'll work on a training program after I talk to Kakashi, Naruto, but I expect that you three will start training separately," Jiraiya explained. "You might have to fight each other in later rounds, so it makes sense to give you all the best chance of success. Kakashi already spoke to me, Jiraiya. He expects that you'll train Naruto, and since Kurenai has a student in the finals and he doesn't want to call in any other favors, I'm going to train Sakura, while he trains Sasuke," Kushina explained. They were all surprised by the knock at the door. Everyone except the Hokage that they knew usually used the window. Naruto opened the door to find Hinata, looking petrified. "Hello, And Naruto, she stammered. Naruto looked outside, down the hall both ways, while Hinata stood stunned at Naruto's abrupt response. Hi, Hinata. You'd better come in before the hall monster get you, he teased. Hinata didn't know how to respond. Kushina pushed Naruto out of the way and said to the terrified girl, why don't you come in and have some tea? It'll calm your nerves and we can chat like civilized people, with a warm, welcoming smile. Hinata entered slowly, sitting in a chair whispering, thank you, Uzumaki-san. She looked at Jiraiya, who stared at her, and Sasuke, who ignored her. Damn, boy, you got girls knocking down the door to get to you. Jiraiya exclaimed as Naruto and Jiraiya started another boisterous argument over the propriety of commenting on Naruto's non-existent love life. Naruto led the Sannin to the couch where they would bother Sasuke instead of Hinata. Damn, she's cute. And not already hung up on Sasuke, Naruto thought while he argued. But she's the heir to a major clan, so maybe it isn't the best idea to get tangled up with her. Hinata sipped her tea while Jiraiya and Naruto made noise in the background. Kushina gave her a reassuring look and said, now then. What can I do for you, Hyuga-sama? Please, call me Hinata, Hinata started. I know that I'm not in the finals, but I was wondering if you wouldn't mind training me. You are reputed to have the most stamina of any kunoichi in history and I am weak in that area. Additionally, I thought that I might include Sakura because she is going to fight my cousin and I would dearly like to see him lose. This is perfect. It couldn't have worked out better if someone was planning it. Kushina thought. I think that we can arrange that, Hinata. But will your family have any problems with it? My father is grooming my sister to take over the clan and my team won't be on any missions, so I doubt he would have noticed, but I asked him before I came here anyway and he told me that it wouldn't bother him, Hinata explained. All Hyuga women have giant, Jiraiya screamed, holding his hands in front of his chest. Hinata blushed, but pretended not to hear it. She's right over there and we're only 13, you obnoxious, perverted, pedophile. Naruto screamed back. I'm saying for you not for me. And I'm just a pervert. I'm not a pedophile. Jiraiya defended, before noticing Kushina, Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata all staring at him. He stopped screaming and calmly said, right. I'll go find a hotel then, fleeing out the window at top speed, fearing for his life. There's an owner's manual for the Sharingan. Kakashi asked Sasuke as the two entered the Uchiha family temple, displaying an uncharacteristic level of surprise. Sasuke brought Kakashi into the secret room under the temple to get Kakashi to teach him to unlock more aspects of his own Sharingan, not realizing that Kakashi had never seen it. All Uchiha know about the stone under the temple, Sasuke explained. It's amazing that you've managed to mature the Sharingan that you have without any instruction, Kakashi-sensei. Even with the instructions, not every member of the Uchiha clan awakened or fully developed their Sharingan. The two read the face of the large tablet before activating their Sharingan eyes. The tablet looked different under Kakashi's single, fully developed eye than it did to Sasuke's two, underdeveloped eyes. Training Ground 4. After you sign the contract, you'll be able to attempt summoning the toads, Jiraiya lectured. Yes. I understand, Pervy-sensei. Pull out the scroll already. Naruto exclaimed. Jiraiya pulled out the scroll and Naruto signed it. Before Jiraiya even rolled up the scroll, Naruto ran through the summoning seals and pumped as much chakra as his highly overdeveloped chakra network could produce into the very exact seal for summoning. Gamabunta appeared under the startled blonde. I knew all of the practice would pay off. Jiraiya noted. The enormous toad looked around before grumbling, what the hell, Jiraiya? I don't see a battle. And why are you down there? Jiraiya chuckled. I'm not the one who summoned you, as he pointed to the blonde standing atop the giant frog. Who are you? The toad rumbled. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto introduced. What's your name, big guy? I am Gamabunta and if you want to summon the Toad clan, then you have to prove yourself worthy, the toad boomed. How does that work? Naruto asked. Hang on. Gamabunta muttered as he started jumping around. Uzumaki apartment. What do you mean? I have to take off my clothes. Sakura exclaimed. You're fighting a Hyuga. We just so happen to have one of our own. You are going to learn where each and every one of your tenketsu are located. You are going to learn it because you won't be able to stop Neji from closing them. You are going to learn it because you are not going to lose in the first 30 seconds of the match. Now shut up and strip so Hinata can put the henna paint on you, Kushina admonished. Hinata stood in Kushina's bedroom with her Byakugan active and a needle with henna paint in her hand. It wasn't as if Hinata couldn't see through all of Sakura's clothes anyway. Uchiha Temple, underground. We have more training to do, Kakashi said. We should leave. But what if there's more? Sasuke asked. We won't learn it by staring at the stone, Kakashi replied. Right, Sasuke stated, not looking away. Kakashi grabbed the boy by the collar and dragged him out into the night sky. They'd been staring at the stone tablet all day. Training Ground 4. You've read about chakra natures, so I won't bore you by repeating it. Right now though, you're going to train all 5. I don't expect that you'll master all of them, but with shadow clones to cheat, you'll get the most out of your time, Jiraiya started. Why can't you just teach me some jutsus? Naruto whined. Because you want to be able to do any jutsu, not just one jutsu. Your control is great right now, but you need to learn to change your chakra nature, Jiraiya explained. So I'll just make 100 clones and then we'll all work on the exercises, Naruto grumbled. No, you'll make 25 clones and then you will do taijutsu training and meditation with me, dispelling and creating one group every 10 minutes. A mass of clones will eventually have minor differences and through trial and error, you'll find ways to do better at each exercise, individually. Each clone you'll be using will be trying a slightly different, but related exercise so that anything that one clone in each group learns can apply to any of the other clones in the group. This will make your training much more efficient so that you will learn how to change chakra natures much more quickly than the months or years that it might normally take, Jiraiya lectured. I think I get it. Start showing me the exercises, Naruto said as he created 25 shadow clones. Private Training Ground 3. You've got the speed down and, thanks to Lee and your training with Naruto, you've already figured out how to unlock 2 of the gates, but you'll have to rest up before you can do that again. Since we wasted yesterday reading the tablet in the Uchiha Shrine, we'll have to make up for that today by moving extremely fast. Keep your Sharingan active for as long as you can and let me know if I move too fast for you to keep up, Kakashi lectured as he started to fight Sasuke. Uzumaki apartment. This henna stuff doesn't come off, Kushina-san, Sakura whined. That's the point. It'll last for a month and we only had to apply it once. Start where we left off. Try to open your tenketsu after Hinata shuts it, Kushina lectured, reading a magazine advertisement for a hot spring. Once you can do that, you'll be ready for the next phase of your training. Beating Neji will be meaningless if you can't at least put up a good fight to whoever is after him. Training Ground 4. I've mastered the wind nature exercises, Pervy-sensei, Naruto crowed. Perfect. Now try using wind chakra in the techniques that you already know with it, Jiraiya muttered while looking through binoculars. Can't you stop looking at the springs for 5 minutes to teach me something? Naruto exclaimed. I am teaching you something. You just aren't learning it. Now do what I say until you've mastered all 5 elements. Jiraiya shot back. Private Training Ground 3. Faster. Sasuke. Kakashi yelled as a fist shot out. You have to be faster if you want to activate the third Tomo. As he activated Genjutsu distractions in rapid succession. Gah, you're trying to kill me. Sasuke screamed. Maybe. Maybe not. But Gaara most certainly will. Don't quit. Kakashi screamed. Uzumaki apartment. So you can open and close your tenketsu at will, without striking them? Kushina asked. Sakura swore. Not yet. Don't we have other things to study though? Not until you can open and close your tenketsu without your hands, Kushina said flatly. Kushina-san. Hinata asked. How is this helping my stamina? Are you tired at the end of the day? Kushina asked. Yes, Hinata answered. Are your muscles sore at the end of the day? Kushina replied. Yes, Hinata answered again. It's only been a week. You can't really expect a significant increase in that short time period. Once Sakura starts learning medical ninjutsu in earnest, we should be able to up the training significantly. But we won't be able to start that until she learns to control her tenketsu, Kushina smiled. So hurry up, Sakura. She yelled. And then Kushina went back to reading another magazine. Training Ground 4. When I use Wind Chakra with Shadow Clones, I can't make any clones. When I use Wind Chakra with Body Flicker, I just get a gust of wind with me when I move and I can keep going for much longer than normal. What use is that? Naruto asked. Have you tried Body Flicker on just one part of your body at a time instead of your whole body at once? Jiraiya asked. Wait, you can do that? Naruto responded. Yes. Now try it with Neutral Chakra, then with Wind Chakra, Jiraiya whispered through a hangover. And let me know when you can do anything with any other nature, he said as he nodded off in a lounge chair. Private Training Ground 3. Kakashi pulled up his headband to reveal his own 3-tomo Sharingan. You have to be faster, Sasuke, or I will definitely kill you, he intoned with deadly intent. Dodging or opening any gates won't save you. You have to perceive faster. How the hell am I supposed to do that? Sasuke thought as Kakashi started moving ever faster. Kakashi fought harder and faster, keeping his demeanor cold and cruel until Sasuke couldn't keep up. He threw kunai closer and closer to Sasuke, waiting for Sasuke's eyes to morph into the 3-tomo Sharingan that indicated it had reached full maturity. I still have 3 days to get his Sharingan to mature. I don't need to start teaching him the basis of Chidori until then, Kakashi thought as one of his kunai left a hair-thin streak of blood across Sasuke's arm. Leaf Hospital. You are going to learn 2 basic healing techniques. The first is how to repair minor damage. The second is how to reinforce tissues and project your chakra into a blow. Hinata is going to come with me and we'll be back when I have to carry her, Kushina explained. Are you dumping me off at the hospital to train Hinata? Sakura asked. No, I'm leaving you with experienced medics to teach you the principles involved in the techniques that you are going to need by the time I get done with Hinata, Kushina explained. You've already studied basic anatomy. Now, you're going to get a 4-day crash course and a few rounds in practical application. We'll see where you're at afterward, Kushina lectured. Hurry up or you'll be late. I had to call in some very old favors to get this for you. Sakura started following around the medic nin, asking questions about the 2 topics Kushina had mentioned, much to the annoyance of the medic nin. Ichiraku Ramen. I'm doing much better with Earth Chakra, but I'm still lagging with fire, lighting, and water. I don't get it. The harder I try, the worse those elements get, Naruto complained over lunch. Those elements aren't about pure effort, Naruto. Only Earth is about sheer stubbornness. You know that. Focus on what those elements are at their cores and you should make some more progress, Jiraiya said between slurps of ramen. Naruto stopped and slapped his forehead. Of course. I got wind quickly and have been using it with taijutsu already and Earth is coming along, so I've been using the ideas from molding Earth and chakra with the other elements, but the ideas are incompatible with the nature of the chakra. Why didn't you tell me that, Pervy-sensei? Jiraiya rolled his eyes. Yeah, why didn't I tell you that just now, he said flatly. I figured out how to use a partial body flicker with wind chakra to make my blows have a cutting quality though. That was pretty awesome, right? Jiraiya looked at his tattered shirt. It's a great combat technique, Naruto. But your meditation is still terrible. We're going to start doing a stillness exercise tomorrow that will help you a lot in the future. But meditation is boring, Naruto whined. You'll thank me someday, Jiraiya muttered as he ignored the whining blonde. Private Training Ground 3. You almost killed me, Sasuke screamed. Your Sharingan is now fully matured. It never would have happened without the life or death stress, Kakashi defended. Now we can work on your chakra nature. It should be a matter of days for you to master lightning chakra enough to perform the one unique jutsu that I've created. Wait, what? You're going to teach me your unique jutsu? What is it? Sasuke said, more interested. It's an assassination technique. It is purely offensive in nature and it's not something that you should use lightly, but Gaara might not give you a choice and I'm not going to send you to die at his hands in the arena, Kakashi explained. So all of this was just training? You weren't trying to kill me? Sasuke asked. I haven't given you a chance to think about it, but I'm a Jonin listed in bingo books and you're a genin. If I wanted to kill you, do you really think that it would have taken this long? Hurry up and finish your lunch so that we can get back to training, Kakashi said, already finished with his food. Uzumaki apartment. How am I supposed to heal a torn muscle? I barely got the theory from that guy at the hospital. Sakura complained loudly. You had 4 days, you already knew more than half of it, and you've been bragging about your perfect chakra control since we met. Stop being melodramatic and heal Hinata's arm, Kushina browbeat the pink-haired girl. I'm not even sure how. Sakura went on. Figure it out soon or you're going to have to spar with me next, Kushina threatened with a feral grin. And I make Sasuke and Naruto look like quitters when it comes to stamina. Sakura screamed with nervous laughter as Hinata quietly waited for the would-be Chunin to figure out a healing technique based on theory and perfect chakra control that Hinata knew didn't actually exist yet. Hinata absently thought, poor Sakura. Kushina is really pushing her. But if she can do this, then Neji won't be able to win. Training Ground 4. I can't quite use lightning as well as wind or earth, but I'm close. Water is still a problem and fire is barely any better. We've still got a week left. Shouldn't I keep training with the elements, Pervy-sensei? It's time to start incorporating the nature transformations into the jutsu that you already know. Plus, you're going to practice the practical application of seals. I know Kushina has given you scrolls, so we're going to focus primarily on putting what you know to use for the next 6 days, Jiraiya explained. Why not 7 days? Naruto asked. You don't want to be totally bushed on the day of the arena, so you'll take the last day to rest. We're going to the hot springs just outside of town. We're meeting Sasuke and Kakashi as well as Kushina, Hinata, and Sakura, Jiraiya smiled. You're not implying that you're going to peep on my mother and 2 of my peers, are you, Pervy-sensei? I'm offended, Naruto. There are plenty of other women for me to peep on, Jiraiya smiled. And some of them pay for the privilege, Jiraiya imagined some of his favorite jobs. Private Training Ground 3. Sasuke breathed heavily. He'd just put a hole in a boulder the length of his arm with his Chidori. It was the second of the day and he was nearly exhausted. That's it. You can only perform this jutsu twice in a day. Any more and you'll burn out your chakra and your stamina, which would result in your death. Kakashi's arms were folded as he watched. You have deeper chakra reserves than most ninja your age and you've got a fully mature Sharingan. But not a Mangekyo Sharingan, Sasuke interrupted. What would you rather have? Friends or the Mangekyo Sharingan? Kakashi asked redundantly. Can't I have both? Sasuke asked. There is no way that I know of to have both, Sasuke. It's one or the other. Believe me when I tell you that I would trade almost anything to get my friends back. If I had a choice, I would choose friends, Kakashi said forlorn. Uzumaki apartment. You can knit some of your tissues back together, Sakura, but you can't enhance them with your chakra, Kushina evaluated. It's a great battlefield tactic, but I was hoping that you'd master the latter rather than the former. It's not like I can heal everything, Kushina-san, just minor tears. I don't know how I'm going to beat Neji, Sakura whined. Sakura, you'll be sparring against Hinata for the next 2 days. But you will only defend, never attack. If you don't see the benefit of your training, then I'll happily track down any instructor of your choosing to teach you after the exams, Kushina explained. Hinata, Sakura has been training with Naruto and Sasuke to get her endurance up. The both of you will keep fighting until I get tired. Until I get tired? The two asked in stereo. No. Until I get tired of fighting. I'll be watching from this comfortable lounge chair. Kushina smiled and showed off the lounge chair she'd stolen from Jiraiya. Hinata and Sakura mentally screamed in horror. Screaming out loud only resulted in Kushina's demented laughter haunting them throughout an exercise. Training Ground 4. Holy crap. Lightning Chakra is the best body flicker augmentation ever. Naruto screamed. If we had more time, I'd start teaching you some more advanced chakra shaping exercises, but we'll save that for later. Why aren't you using any earth chakra though? You're much better at it than lightning. Earth body flicker is lame. I can barely move. It's not very good for my style, and a lightning technique of any kind will punch right through it. Since I don't know any real earth jutsu, I'll just use wind and lightning, Naruto explained. If we had more time, I'd teach you some earth techniques, but we have to start making our way to the hot springs. Remember not to give away what we've been training until you fight at the exams, Jiraiya lectured. Try not to think about it too much. Try to relax tomorrow. Too bad you can't manage to sit still, he muttered. The first match will be Neji Hyuga and Sakura Haruno, the Hokage spoke. All other examinees should go to the waiting area. The clamor of the arena was deafening, but everyone was prepared. The genin knew that it was coming and were only mildly nervous about fighting in front of so many people. Daimyos, jonin, merchants, and many others watched the Chunin exams in order to evaluate the strength of the ninja they might hire. Naruto and Sasuke wished Sakura luck before retreating to the staging area in the heart of the arena. Your fate is to lose, Sakura. You should learn when to quit before you die, Neji intoned as the proctor looked on. 2 cages are here today, so giving up without a fight would be stupid for both of us, Neji. Think a little before you give advice, Sakura smirked. Fight, yelled the proctor, jumping out of the way. Neji assumed a stance that Sakura was already familiar with, and Sakura body flickered into Neji's reach, delivering a light blow to his arm. Neji accepted the blow and struck at one of Sakura's tenketsu, closing it. Sakura jabbed several more times, but Neji just used the opportunity to close more of her tenketsu. Neji had closed off most of the tenketsu in her left arm and several in her other limbs and torso, but Sakura smiled at him and said, I hope you've got more than that, Neji, or this fight is going to start going south for you very soon, as she opened the closed tenketsu from her core outward, in sequence. The Hyuga watching in the stadium gasped along with Neji. She can open her tenketsu without touching them. I'll simply have to shut them all down at once, the arrogant youth thought. You are in range of my divination, Sakura, he started to tell the pink-haired girl. You are in range of my body flicker, you arrogant ass, Sakura replied as she body flickered into his blind spot, delivering a hard kick to the boy's back. Neji rolled to the ground, spinning to his feet and rushing close to Sakura, seemingly unfazed. 2. He calmly intoned. 4. He listed, 8, 16, 32, 64. 8 trigrams 64 palms, he said, completing the technique that should instantly incapacitate a foe. Oh no, Sakura gasped. You've shut down 64 of my tenketsu. I feel so tired. There was only the barest flicker of chakra in her core, so close to absolutely nothing that it might as well have been for anyone else. Once a single core tenketsu opened, she started popping more tenketsu open as she spoke, freeing her trapped chakra. Oh, wait, nope, she needled. My turn, she said as she started wailing on the unsuspecting Neji as Hinata's pent-up frustrations flooded out of Sakura. Vacuum palm, Neji expressed as he knocked Sakura back. Neji had several light bruises, but the pink-haired girl was not strong enough to knock him out. Sakura winced as she flew, focusing on the healing jutsu to repair the organ damage as she skidded across the dirt. She pulled out several kunai and threw them in rapid succession at Neji, creating a barrage that she knew he couldn't dodge. He simply spun, creating a dome of chakra around him that seemed to deflect all of the incoming projectiles. Damn it, Sakura cursed inwardly. He can't really hurt me with his gentle fist, but I can't put enough of a hurt on him to end the match. If only I'd had more time. Sakura body flickered with a leg sweep, but Neji jumped out of the way as if he'd practiced avoiding leg sweeps thousands of times. Neji approached her again with simple gentle fist taijutsu. Sakura put more power behind her blows and focused on keeping her tenketsu open after each strike. She could barely keep up with his strikes, but she was starting to fatigue the so-called genius. Neji tried to use the 64 palms again, but Sakura knew that opening a full set of closed tenketsu took more time than Neji would give her again. She quickly used a body flicker to get as far away from Neji as the arena would allow. Knowing she had to come up with something or she wouldn't be able to last much longer, she tried to channel chakra back into her muscles and bones to give herself a strength boost. She dropped a quick test axe kick into the ground at her feet, leaving a very small, barely noticeable crater under her heel. I know that wasn't right, but it's the best I'm going to be able to do for the rest of this match. I hope it's enough or Neji is gonna win, Sakura thought. You are in range of my divination, Neji started to intone. Shut up, Neji, Sakura exclaimed as she struck him with a medically enhanced fist across his chin, taking only the first 2 strikes before sending the boy flying. Neji did not expect the force of the blow and tried to roll with the punch, but it had much more power than any of the girl's previous strikes and he was caught off guard enough to fly to the ground. The proctor approached Neji, checked the boy for injuries, and announced, "Winner, Sakura Haruno." The crowd cheered as Sakura waved on her way back to the staging area. She won, which meant that she'd have to fight again after everyone else finished. She didn't have any tricks for beating anyone else, but at least the first match was over. Hinata secretly smiled, knowing that Neji had finally gotten a taste of what it had been like for her for so long, but she found herself feeling sorry for him because being the best had long been the only thing he cared about since his father died. Naruto and Sasuke waited for Sakura to reach the waiting area before congratulating her. I knew you were strong, but you took out Neji. He dropped that other girl like it was part of his morning ritual. Way to go, Sakura. Naruto shouted. It was pretty boring, but what matters is that you won, Sakura, Sasuke said. How did you avoid getting your chakra network shut down by his attacks though? I didn't avoid it. Kushina-sensei taught me how to open and close my tenketsu at will. I have no idea how I'm going to move past the next round though. We kind of specialized during my training, Sakura smiled nervously. Next up, Shino Aburame and Tamari of the desert, an announcer boomed. Tamari strolled out with her fan while Shino moved slowly into position. Fight, the proctor shouted before jumping away. I wonder if you'll have as much luck against me as you did my teammate, Shino wondered aloud. That depends, Bug Boy. Are you as weak as she is? Countered Tamari. You'll find that weakness is relative, I think, Shino opined as his tunneling insects began crawling up Tamari's legs. Tamari screamed and danced, trying everything she could to scrape them off, even going so far as to glide on her enormous fan, but her panic allowed the chakra-eating bugs to feed from her reserves. She barely noticed in time to create a wind jutsu that scattered the bugs. I have to buy more time, but I can't stand still with this guy or he'll get me with those damned bugs, she thought, still gliding. Shino didn't give her a chance to form a plan, however, throwing kunai at the easy target. Tamari wasn't worried about the kunai and batted them out of the air easily with a gust of wind before noticing the swarm of bugs behind her. She spent a long few minutes swatting bugs away and moving around until she was simply too exhausted to continue and Shino knocked her unconscious. Winner, Shino Aburame, the proctor announced. Shino returned to the staging area where everyone congratulated him on a job well done. Kankuro was in the area with Gaara and the two stayed silent while Tamari was taken to the medical tent by the Leaf Medical Nin. The same booming voice came over the loudspeakers announcing the match between the Cloud Nin and the Rock Nin. Naruto was surprised to see the strange woman from Mist waiting for him as he searched for a bathroom. Hello there, little Flash, she smiled, her arms across her chest. Oh, does she know? Is she here to kill me? Play it cool, Naruto. She isn't exhausted anymore, Naruto thought. Hi there, he smiled. I came here special, just to watch you fight. Naruto, was it? He nodded. Don't disappoint me, Naruto. I don't want to think that I owe a debt to someone weak, she smiled eerily. Naruto returned after his little detour to find that the Rock Nin had defeated the Cloud Nin. And that the Mist Genin was already waiting in the arena. Naruto Uzumaki, please report to the arena. Your match is about to begin, the loudspeaker boomed. Naruto rushed out onto the field, zipping his zipper. Sorry, everyone. I had to take a leak. I'm ready now, he flustered. Are you sure, Uzumaki? The proctor asked. If you have to take a bathroom break, we can move on to the next match. I'm good. I just had to piss. Let's do this already, Naruto exclaimed, getting into a basic taijutsu stance. Okay. Fight, the proctor said, jumping away. The Mist Nin quickly summoned a mist as Naruto just stood there. The mist cleared as the befuddled Mist Nin stood next to where Naruto should have stood, his sword already embedded in the ground after what must have been a horrifyingly powerful swing. The Mist Nin looked around, but missed the flash as Naruto crossed the entire arena from the outer wall. Earth and lightning without hand signs. And the speed is impressive. The blonde, spiky hair and the speed are only confirming my suspicions that he's related to the yellow flash. He was supposed to be a bachelor, but that wouldn't be a hard thing to conceal from enemies during war, the auburn-haired Jonin thought as she watched the fight. Naruto used an improvised earth technique to tunnel directly beneath his starting spot, replacing himself with a shadow clone. From his position outside the mist, he used lightning chakra to enhance his speed across the arena and then put wind chakra into his fingertips as he struck the Mist Nin's sword, cutting it where he struck. The Mist Nin leapt back, leaving his broken sword as he wove more hand signs. Naruto converted his chakra into water chakra and released it in a massive wave, cancelling out the mist field. The Mist Nin's eyes went wide as bad water chakra simply overwhelmed his technique. How could he have that much chakra? It's not even pure water chakra. The Mist Nin thought. Naruto stood looking at the Mist Nin. Did you want to try anything else or can I try something? Naruto asked with a smirk. The Mist Nin pulled out a kunai and charged Naruto in a rage. That'll work, Naruto chuckled, creating a gale force wind at shoulder level into the charging Mist Nin. He then put his hands on the ground, creating a chasm beneath the Mist Nin. The Mist Nin fell back into a pit instead of the ground he'd expected. Naruto used a neutral body flicker to close into the pit next to the Mist Nin. The Mist Nin threw a shuriken barrage at Naruto, which Naruto dodged by burrowing into the earth. Shadow clones reached up from beneath the Mist Nin, holding the Mist Nin down where most observers couldn't see or hear them. You put on a good show, but the match is mine. You can walk off or be carried off, Naruto said quickly. I'm giving you the option. Carried off, the Mist Nin said seriously. I can see that your ninjutsu and taijutsu outclass mine, but if I walk off, it will show weakness. Naruto was stunned. He hadn't expected that. Well, do it already, the Mist Nin hissed. Another arm shot up, wrapping around the Mist Nin's neck, quickly choking him unconscious. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. The proctor shouted. Naruto strutted off the field, still a little disturbed by the Mist Nin's attitude. The Leaf Genin in the staging area congratulated him on a decisive match. Gaara of the Desert and Sasuke Uchiha, please come to the arena, boomed the loudspeaker. Sasuke hopped down to the arena, waiting for Gaara. Gaara was not far behind. Which one of us exists? Gaara's voice dripped death. We both do, Psycho. Sasuke activated his Sharingan eyes. Fight! Yelled the proctor. Sand swirled around Gaara, hypnotic whirls spinning everywhere. Sasuke could see the chakra laced in every grain, but he knew there wasn't much he could do about the sand. A tendril of sand lashed toward Sasuke, but Sasuke dodged it easily. Sasuke tried to run past the sand, but even body flickers weren't fast enough to bypass it. Naruto's speed might be fast enough, but I'm not sure. I can't duplicate it right now anyway though, so I'll have to think of something else, Sasuke thought as he blew a fireball at the motionless redhead protected by sand. The sand was fast attacking as well, but Sasuke was faster at dodging. He threw kunai that cloned to create a massive barrage, but the sand was always there. Claws of sand erupted, trying to grab him, but he always predicted the sand and dodged easily. Sasuke tried genjutsu but the illusions didn't faze Gaara's bloodlust. Gaara broke the illusions the same way Naruto did, brute force. Sasuke planted explosive tags around the arena as he went back and forth with Gaara, waiting to position the sand nin just right for the trap he was setting. Finally, Gaara stepped into position and Sasuke sent chakra to detonate the tags. Gaara was blasted off his feet, repeatedly, until all of the tags Sasuke had planted were exhausted. Gaara stood, his skin peeling off like sand, his rage evident. A sphere of sand surrounded Gaara as he stood, revealing an eye of sand above and seemingly out of range. Sasuke knew that the only way to attack Gaara would be to strike through the sand. He momentarily thought how nice it might be to have a Byakugan to see through the sand instead of guessing at the inside, but quickly pushed that thought aside. He charged his hand with lightning, the chirping sounds bursting from the jutsu. He started running toward Gaara's sand shell, but the earth rumbled and an explosion sounded from the walls of the village, knocking Sasuke to the ground before he could complete his attack. Sasuke picked himself up and turned to try to see what was happening. What the hell is going on? Why is there a genjutsu over the entire stadium? Or is it the entire village? What was that? Boom, just now. Sasuke thought as he watched the visiting cage leap from the cage's box seat a split second before a strange, purple barrier rose up around it. Naruto had practiced enough with genjutsu to recognize one and practice disrupting his chakra as a matter of course throughout any day, but the sleeping jutsu that covered the stadium caught him off guard. By the time he noticed what was happening, the cage was standing next to Sasuke and Gaara was starting to lose his mind in the middle of the arena. Most of the Jonin seemed to be pulling themselves out of the genjutsu, but the sounds of battles raging outside the stadium were easily heard. Orochimaru. Jiraiya screamed from the stands as he jumped down to intercept the cage. We should have killed you years ago. Jiraiya summoned two toads that Naruto didn't recognize on his shoulders. Naruto watched in horror as Orochimaru extended his head to bite Sasuke, leaving a strange mark on his friend, before facing Jiraiya. Kuku. Don't you have a village to save, Jiraiya-chan? The sand is invading and this very arena is going to have the Shukaku on a rampage any minute now, the false cage pointed at Gaara's sand-covered form. Naruto charged in with a lightning body flicker to attack the false cage, but Orochimaru's body impossibly bent to avoid the blonde's strike. You might be nearly as fast as that annoying fourth Hokage, boy. But you can't beat me yet, he mocked as he kicked Naruto across the arena. Jiraiya charged Orochimaru, but the snake Sannin picked up Sasuke's unconscious form and ran. Naruto stood, watching Jiraiya leap after Orochimaru and Sasuke. Most of the Jonin and Anbu present had already begun reinforcing the besieged village walls, so few had noticed Gaara growing into a monster the size of a building. Naruto ran through the summoning signs to bring Gamabunta into the stadium and found himself atop the massive toad. We have to keep that sand monster from hurting anyone in the stands. We don't have much room, so we'll have to pin it here as quickly as possible, Boss Toad, Naruto quickly explained. That's a great plan, Naruto boy, but that's a biju and I don't have nearly the strength to pin even the one tail in these tight quarters, Gamabunta rumbled. If we don't hurry, that thing is going to start rampaging and a lot of people are going to die. Naruto exclaimed. We need to do something quick. Can you do a transformation jutsu? Gamabunta asked. I could pin him, if I could take the shape of something with hands or claws. The sand monster began to roar, waking a few of the genin who had been left behind by the older ninja. I can think of something. Hang on. Naruto unleashed a wave of chakra to transform the massive toad into the only thing he could imagine that was that big. For a brief instant, he found himself inside the landscape of the underground plumbing, where he looked into the sealed cage. I'm borrowing your form, whatever your name is. I just wanted to let you know, since I think I've just figured out that you're one of the Biju. Borrowing my form. What does that mean? The angry prisoner boiled from behind its cage. I'm fighting a Biju and the boss toad needs a form with claws or hands to pin it down. I've already transformed him into you, Naruto explained. I can help you. Merely tear the seal from this gate and I will destroy the other Biju, the fox tempted from its cage. Tell me your name and we'll talk about it later, Naruto replied. I am Kurama. Why do you care about my name, little human? It asked, starting to get curious. Everyone has a name, Kurama, Naruto said as his attention shifted back to the battle. He could feel the rage from Kurama still washing over him. Gamabunta was now shaped like a massive nine-tailed fox and had the sand monster pinned beneath it. Naruto had to maintain his concentration to continue the transformation jutsu, but he could see Gaara unconscious and partially exposed on top of the sand monster. The sand monster began cursing in a strange, grating voice. Damn you, Kyuubi. Get off me. We can go on a rampage together, man. The sand monster sang. The Kyuubi isn't in right now, Gamabunta said, holding the sand monster down. Bullshit. I feel the chakra of my tailed brother. Stop messing with me, man. The sand monster sang back. Do you think it's significant that Gaara is asleep right now, Boss Toad? Naruto whispered. I don't know, Naruto boy. Is it worth risking everyone's lives to find out? The giant toad responded, still pinning the squirming sand creature. Naruto. Hinata exclaimed, jumping on the nine-tailed fox, the veins around her eyes already bulging from her active Byakugan. Hinata. Perfect. Are you the only one awake? Naruto asked. No, but I was the only one who could see that this is a transformation. The others were all too scared to approach, Hinata explained, all business. I think that we can stop this if we can wake Gaara up, but I can't stop concentrating on the transformation or it'll collapse and the sand monster will be able to kill all of the people still asleep, Naruto explained. I will try to wake him, Hinata said, resolutely. The normally shy girl ran down the fox's nose, leaping from the fox to the sand monster, her arm cocked back to slap the red-headed boy. The sand monster struggled and writhed, having heard the plan, but Hinata was agile enough to compensate and landed the blow before the sand could stop her or catch her. Gaara shook himself, shocked at the sight of a dark-haired girl standing over him and the blonde boy from the last match transforming out of the giant, red, nine-tailed fox along with a toad the size of a building. How? Why? Gaara asked. The monster was going to go on a rampage and nobody else was around, Naruto started. We barely managed to wake you up, he continued as the sand shifted back into formlessness. You beat me. But why am I still alive? The confused Sand Nin asked. Because I don't think that we should kill anyone unless we've exhausted every other option, Naruto said, partially quoting one of his favorite philosophical texts. Boss Toad, can you stay here and make sure that the sand monster doesn't return and go on a killing spree, please? Yeah, sure, kid. Why not? Gamabunta responded. Where are you going, Naruto? Hinata asked. Naruto looked around the arena. The purple barrier around the cage box was gone. He could see some of the genin waking more of the attendees in the stadium. He could hear a battle raging at the village walls. He couldn't see Jiraiya or the creepy snake Sanin, but he'd seen which way they'd gone. I have to follow Pervy-sensei, Naruto shrugged. Sasuke just got kidnapped. The rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated, Kushina gloated in a spray of blood. The Red Death hasn't been seen in over a dozen years, a woman in a leaf anbu mask thought. Is this her or some sort of ghost? A hand touched the auburn-haired woman's shoulder. Thank you for assisting us, but we'll need that mask back when the invasion is over, Kakashi whispered. Foreign nin shouldn't have them, he smiled behind his cloth mask. The woman nodded before a body flicker put her next to the famed red death of the leaf. She let out breath of steam that melted flesh from bones that got her an appreciative nod from the red-haired woman. I don't know anyone in Leaf who has that Keke Genke, but you appear to be on our side, Kushina stated. As long as you're here, keep it that way, she smiled jovially, her face covered in blood. Mei Terumi shuddered involuntarily at one of the scourges of the Third Great Ninja War. She wasn't afraid of the woman in red, but she could see that the woman in red wasn't afraid of anything, and that wasn't something to disregard. There was a rumble from inside the village, and the three saw a massive sand monster being tackled by an equally enormous nine-tailed fox. Kakashi and Mei gasped involuntarily, but Kushina turned back to the incoming ninja from the Sound Village, saying coldly over her shoulder, "That isn't the Kyuubi. Hold the line. The arena in the Leaf Village. We're not going to fight Orochimaru," Naruto explained to Shino and Hinata. "He's a legendary missing nin. Jiraiya and hopefully the Hokage will be fighting Orochimaru. We just have to get Sasuke back. Wake Shikamaru up if he isn't already and come up with a team that has the best chance of success." Hinata and Shino started looking for Shikamaru, but Shikamaru stood up and said, "I heard you. This is troublesome. There isn't anybody else. We go and we might be able to get Sasuke. You and Shino decide who's coming with me," Naruto said. "And hurry." "Hinata, can you see them?" Shikamaru asked the girl. "No," Hinata replied with her head down. "The family members who I'm sure could see are already away." "That's fine. Find Kiba and Akamaru." "Naruto, Kiba, Akamaru, and I will go." "Shino, the stadium is obviously your problem unless someone else shows up," Shikamaru said thoughtfully. Shino nodded. Hinata found Kiba and Akamaru while Shino woke the pair, quickly filling them in on the plan. "We can smell him," Kiba explained. "Follow us." Naruto, Shikamaru, Kiba, and Akamaru leapt away from the stadium following the scent the snake nin had left behind. Hinata and Shino started waking ninja, unsure when or how the sleeping genjutsu covering the stadium would wear off. "The hell is going on?" Sakura asked groggily. "The forest a few miles outside of the Leaf Village." "Kukukukuku. Sensei, you and Jiraiya both fighting me seems unfair. I should bring reinforcements," the snake nin hissed as he made hand signs. Jiraiya had summoned two toads to sit on his shoulders and looked more like a toad. Sarutobi, the third Hokage, the god of shinobi, was wearing his metal gauntlets and metal war helmet. 3 caskets lifted from the ground, but only 2 opened, revealing the first 2 Hokages. The third sank before it had a chance to open, and both Sarutobi and Jiraiya thanked their lucky stars that the third coffin didn't open. "Well, Sarutobi, this is a fine pickle you're in, isn't it?" the second Hokage asked. "This is that damned Edo Tensei, isn't it?" the first asked. "It isn't mine, brother," the second said. "It's my student," the third interrupted, Orochimaru, pointing at the dark-haired snake Sanin. Orochimaru put kunai with seal tags into the 2 resurrected Hokage's heads. "I hate to interrupt, but you're going to fight now," Orochimaru said as the 2 Hokage ran at Sarutobi and Jiraiya. "I already have my prize. It doesn't matter if Jiraiya or Sarutobi sensei survives as long as they are distracted," the snake nin thought. Sealing technique. Dead demon consuming seal. Hiruzen Sarutobi enacted the sealing jutsu. "Jiraiya, don't let Orochimaru escape." "Shit," Orochimaru thought. "Is it time to abandon my plan?" "No, I just avoid Sarutobi until the seal consumes him, then kill Jiraiya." Jiraiya launched himself at Orochimaru, forcing the snake nin to set down Sasuke. Orochimaru and Jiraiya traded blows, but neither gained ground. Orochimaru tried fire jutsus to create space to escape, but Jiraiya countered with water jutsus, staying close. Orochimaru vomited forth a sword, slashing at Jiraiya, but Jiraiya dodged and turned his hair into a hardened steel shell. Jiraiya remained on the defensive, but Orochimaru didn't have any space or time to escape. A wild-haired monster appeared above Hiruzen Sarutobi, its elongated tongue licking the wakizashi in one hand, while the other held prayer beads. Hiruzen's soul shifted out of his body, behind him into the entangling prayer beads of the Shinigami as the first Hokage attacked. Hiruzen grabbed the first Hokage and a tendril shot out of his abdomen where a whirlpool-shaped seal had already formed, the first Hokage in. The second Hokage attacked from behind, seeing a breach in the third's defenses, but the third grappled the second while the tendril the second into the seal as well. Orochimaru could see the Shinigami behind Hiruzen, but he used Jiraiya as a shield. Orochimaru stabbed at the third, trying to kill him before the third could complete the sealing jutsu. Hiruzen latched onto Orochimaru's sword arm, holding the sword where it had found purchase in his lung. The Shinigami pulled Orochimaru's soul out of the body it inhabited, starting with his arm, but Orochimaru was not about to be sealed. Orochimaru kicked the sword deeper into Hiruzen's chest as a portion of his soul, shaped like his arm ripped from his body and fell into the whirlpool-shaped seal. Hiruzen coughed up blood as the seal consumed his own soul as well, before it could leave his dying body. Jiraiya continued attacking, but with only one arm. Orochimaru didn't have the advantage he had earlier enjoyed in a fight against the Toad Sage. Orochimaru was no longer on the offensive and Jiraiya was forcing him to evade and defend rather than make his way to Sasuke's unconscious form. You are impressive, Jiraiya, but can you protect 4 genin and defeat me? The Snake Nin taunted. Jiraiya sensed the approaching genin as well, but he also recognized one of the chakra signatures. Can you defeat the Kyuubi if I break open the seal? Jiraiya bluffed. It doesn't matter. You don't have the stomach for it, Orochimaru hissed. If only Tsunade were here, Jiraiya thought. But I can't stop him with a genin team around. They must be here to get Sasuke, to help fight Orochimaru, or both. None of them are ready for this. You're right. So let's see if you can get away with the Uchiha before you piss off the Jinchuriki, Jiraiya responded. Let's, Orochimaru said calmly, pulling his sword from Hiruzen's fallen form. Naruto, Shikamaru, Kiba, and Akamaru saw the battle between Jiraiya and Orochimaru raging, but skirted around the two, following Sasuke's scent. The three found Sasuke unconscious nearby, but the gray-haired genin from the first day of the exam was standing over him. Hey, Orochimaru is attacking the village and he tried to kidnap Sasuke. We're here to get Sasuke back, Naruto said. Yes, I see that. Lord Orochimaru isn't going to be pleased if he loses his prize, so I'm afraid you're going to fail, Kabuto said coldly before charging his hand with medical jutsu and rushing at Kiba. Kiba tried to dodge, but Kabuto struck him in the back, severing his spine cleanly, leaving an openly bleeding gash. Kiba fell to the ground, unable to move his legs. Shikamaru tried to capture Kabuto in his clan's shadow possession jutsu, but Kabuto kept well away from shadows and moved much faster than any of the genin had expected. Naruto's body flickered next to him, landing a deep, cutting blow with wind chakra into Kabuto's chest, but no blood flowed beneath Kabuto's cleanly cut shirt. Kabuto responded by chopping Naruto in the back, just as he had Kiba. Shikamaru knew that he couldn't beat Kabuto and was on the verge of surrendering, but Kabuto cut his spine as well before he could get the words out. Kabuto picked up Sasuke and shouted, Lord Orochimaru. I have Sasuke Uchiha and I've disabled the genin. We should leave now. Jiraiya looked over to the three bleeding genin as Orochimaru and Kabuto retreated through the woods. Damn you! He screamed at the receding Snake Nin. He looked down at the bleeding genin and pulled gauze from a pouch. You three will have to stay still while I make backboards, he said to the crippled genin as he applied gauze to their open wounds. Naruto retreated inward to try to avoid boredom. It probably won't be productive, but I'm stuck until I heal anyway, he thought. I can help you, if only you'd remove this seal, the fox enticed. I know, Kurama, I know. It's what would happen after that concerns me, Naruto replied. You could retrieve your precious Sasuke and destroy Orochimaru, the fox continued. We've failed. No amount of rampaging or killing is going to change that, Kurama, Naruto explained, trying to remain calm. We've failed and now Sasuke is gone and two of my friends are crippled. Don't think that I care about you, the fox grumbled. Oh, are your stupid friends? Why is it that I heal faster than normal people? Naruto diverted. It's because of my chakra, dumbass. What does that even mean? Naruto replied. My yin chakra was sealed away, long ago, leaving only yang chakra. This seal leaks my chakra into your system. Another reason to break the seal. You could have all of my chakra at once. I don't think it works like that, Naruto noted shakily. Pervy sensei. Can chakra heal? Naruto asked aloud. Only highly skilled medical ninjas should mess with chakra healing, Naruto. Why do you ask? Jiraiya responded. You're going to think I'm crazy, Naruto muttered. Try me, Jiraiya prodded. There's a nine-tailed fox in my head who said that his chakra would heal me if I broke the seal imprisoning him, Naruto said seriously. Don't touch that seal, Jiraiya said gravely, stopping his work immediately. Don't even think about it. The fox is real. I'm not imagining it, Naruto exclaimed. We'll talk later, Naruto. Shut up about it. Practice sitting still, since you still haven't mastered it, Jiraiya punned. Kurama, please give me chakra, Naruto said to the fox in his head. Why? The fox asked. Because I asked nicely and I've never been anything but kind to you. And I need it right now, Naruto explained. I hate you, the fox said as it released a large wave of chakra. Naruto's body flooded with the red yang chakra of the Kyuubi and his already fast natural healing went into overdrive, mending his spine as he sat still. Jiraiya flinched, but didn't move as he stared at Naruto. In less than a minute, Naruto's back was healed. The red chakra had forced Naruto's features into a more bestial look. His eyes were red and feral, his whisker marks deepened, and his fingers looked more like claws than fingers. Slowly, the feral look receded and Naruto sat up, unscathed. Shikamaru watched quietly, while Kiba had already passed out. I feel much better now, Naruto commented. Could I just transfer some of that chakra to heal them so we can go after the old snake bastard? Jiraiya shook his head. It would poison their chakra networks and it might kill them, he explained. I already told you that you shouldn't mess with chakra healing unless you are a highly skilled medical nin. If you aren't hurt, then help me build back boards to limit the damage to their, he pointed to Shikamaru and Kiba, spines. With any luck, the hospital will be able to repair the damage. I'm awake, Shikamaru mentioned. I figured as much, the Sannin responded. You three are going to stay here. Naruto, you'll have to signal for help. As soon as we've got your friends stabilized, I'm going after Orochimaru. Hurry up. Jiraiya turned again to making backboards, but spoke harshly to the genin, tell no one about the fox. No one. Atop the walls surrounding the Leaf Village. They are withdrawing, Kushina noted. The sand didn't fully commit to the attack and it looks like neither did the sound. Whatever happened out here, something happened in the arena as well. A sleeping genjutsu made sure that we couldn't react quickly. While we responded to the attacks from outside, the Shukaku was rampaging back in the arena, Kakashi reasoned. It seems that the Kyuubi took care of it though, Mei added. If the leaf controls the Kyuubi then they should have released it earlier. That wasn't the Kyuubi. That was a giant toad transformed into the Kyuubi. Lord Jiraiya must have handled the arena problem, Kushina said. Which reminds me, who are you and why are you here? She glared at Mei. I am a member of the Leaf's Anbu and I was helping to keep the village secure, she smiled, handing the mask to Kushina. She turned to Kakashi saying, my debt is repaid, Kakashi Hatake, before she bowed and left the two Leaf ninjas. Kushina looked askew at Kakashi saying, strange that the third hasn't arrived yet. A few days passed, during which many were hospitalized as the village took in the aftermath of the combined assault. It certainly could have been worse, but lives were still lost. Chief among those gone was the third Hokage. A massive funeral was held to honor everyone who had died during the invasion. The Sands sent delegates to explain that they had been duped into participating, Their case had been murdered and impersonated by the criminal, Orochimaru. The Sand condemned the attack in every way and sought peace with the Leaf. The village mourned the loss of the great third Hokage, but the village elders and many retired ninja knew that a new Hokage was necessary. 3 elders were discussing the options in the Hokage's office with Jiraiya. One was a man covered in bandages and scars. One was an old man with glasses. One was an old woman with hard eyes. I'm the worst possible choice, Jiraiya complained, quietly. There is no way that I would make a good Hokage. I'm completely unfit for the position, he said definitively to the 3. But you're one of the Sannin. You are the great Toad Sage. Of all the ninja that the Leaf Village has produced, you are the strongest still alive. The other nations will respect you and the Jonin will certainly acknowledge you, the old man with glasses pleaded. The other nations won't respect me and, unless I've got more fans than I thought, the Jonin won't agree on me, Jiraiya stated. I'm just not cut out for it. Think of someone else. Well, if you could find Lady Tsunade and convince her to take the job, the old man trailed. Is she the only other person that you would accept? Jiraiya hoped someone else would be acceptable. It's you or her, the old man stated firmly. I'll find her, Jiraiya sighed, turning to leave for the Uzumaki home. He eyed the 3 elders before deciding to add, don't interfere. It'll be hard enough convincing her without you breathing down her neck to accept. Jiraiya, as many ninja choose to do, leapt across rooftops to get to the Uzumaki's apartment. There was an unearthly calm surrounding the place. Something was certainly going on as Jiraiya approached. The window was closed. You aren't ready to take on one of the Sannin, Jiraiya heard Kushina pleading. You need to be stronger. Jiraiya-sensei couldn't catch him and we don't even know where he is. Jiraiya winced hearing his failure before opening the window and letting himself in. Why do we even have doors in this town? The population is at least a quarter ninja or retired ninja, Jiraiya wondered as he entered the Uzumaki apartment. Orochimaru escaped. But your friends didn't bleed to death and Sasuke is probably still alive. Orochimaru wanted him alive, anyway. But why? Naruto asked. What does he want? He's probably after the Sharingan, Jiraiya explained. I don't know what his plans are, exactly, but they most certainly involve that. Jiraiya frowned. I know that you don't want to hear this, but we don't have any leads on where he's gone. And there isn't a Hokage right now, so that isn't helping matters. Jiraiya crossed his arms and looked at Kushina before continuing. We have to talk about the fox, Naruto. And I'd like to take you on a little trip. There's someone that I have to find and you just might help me convince this person to return with me. Kushina frowned and looked at Naruto. What's this about a fox? She asked the blonde. Pervy sensei said I wasn't crazy. Naruto exclaimed. Just tell me about the fox. Kushina screamed. Naruto paled before babbling, there's a fox with 9 tails that gave me chakra to heal an injury in the forest. The seal was supposed to hold, Kushina imagined nightmare scenarios. Minato performed the sealing flawlessly, she pleaded, breathing heavily. I swear, he did. Why is the seal breaking? Kushina was already starting to tear up as she hyperventilated at Jiraiya. Calm down. We don't know that the seal is breaking. We don't know that this wasn't part of Minato's plan. It's been leaking chakra into Naruto's system since he sealed the Kyuubi, Jiraiya tried to calm Kushina. Naruto had been confused by his mother's panic, but started to put the pieces together before anyone could explain the situation. He sealed the Kyuubi inside me. The villagers have called me a demon for years and this is why. How could he do that? Why would he do that? Jiraiya turned from Kushina, who was sitting with a paper bag over her mouth, and answered before she could, he did it because he knew it was necessary. He did it, betting on you. He did it to you because he couldn't ask anyone else to do it. He wouldn't ask anyone else to be the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He left you your mother to take care of you and help you, but he sealed the Kyuubi inside of you because there was a threat that he knew would be back. And he bet that having the Kyuubi would make you strong enough to handle it when it did. He had absolute faith in you. Naruto sat quietly, thinking. Kushina held herself back from lifting Naruto's shirt to examine the seal on his belly for agonizing minutes. She regained control of herself, the panic subsiding while she thought of Minato. Jiraiya simply waited for Naruto to speak. Then I'll just have to figure out how to get stronger, Naruto resolved, his voice iron. Jiraiya smiled. Good. We have a lot more training to do. We'll have to be ready to take Orochimaru as soon as we find him. We should consider ourselves at war with him. It isn't as bad as the Great Ninja Wars, but Orochimaru fired the first volley. Naruto needs to grow up, get stronger, and control the Kyuubi. Kurama, Naruto interrupted. What? Both Jiraiya and Kushina questioned. His name is Kurama. He has a name, Naruto said. Fine. Control Kurama in order to defend the village. Orochimaru isn't the threat Minato saw, but he's more immediate, Jiraiya finished. Kushina sat stunned for several long moments before slowly replying, "You're right." Her demeanor hardened before continuing, "I'm coming with you. There are Uzumaki traditions and secrets that I should have taught Naruto long ago anyway. Damn it. How am I going to peek at women with Kushina around? I need to write my books." Jiraiya thought. If that's why you're coming along, that's one thing. But if you're coming along to protect Naruto as his mother, you'll have to stay here. I'm not going to argue this point. If you are anything less than professional, I'm sending you back. It's the only way. He's been an adult in the eyes of the village ever since he made genin. I can treat him like a genin, Kushina nodded. Good. We're leaving first thing in the morning, Jiraiya responded. Uzumaki apartment, the next morning. Naruto woke up to his alarm. The apartment was eerily still, just like when Kushina was away on missions. Naruto looked around the apartment to find that his mother was already gone. He packed his gear and made himself some instant ramen for breakfast before heading to the gate to meet Jiraiya and his mom. Kushina was waiting at the gate wearing black mesh ninja armor under a yellow dress and black shorts. Her forehead protector was tied around her head, under her ponytail. She also wore a standard green flak vest and had a daisho at her left side along with a pouch on her right leg. Naruto hadn't ever seen her on a mission before and she looked intimidating, but Naruto wouldn't let his mother intimidate him. She stood silently leaning against the outer wall, arms crossed and eyes closed. Jiraiya-sensei will be here shortly, Naruto, she said professionally. Okay, Mom, Naruto responded absently, on the lookout for the pervy sage. Kushina smacked him hard enough for him to sail into a nearby tree. I know that you meant, Kushina-sensei, she sternly lectured over the shocked genin. Kushina is correct, Naruto, Jiraiya chuckled as he walked up to the pair. We're heading out. At least show me something to work on along the way, pervy-sensei, Naruto grumbled. Kushina and Jiraiya glared at Naruto. What? He asked. Jiraiya sighed and pulled out a bag of water balloons, filling one with water. Watch, Naruto, he said before popping the balloon with chakra. Pop the balloon by releasing chakra out of the palm of your hand and spinning it in every direction. What's this for? Naruto asked, taking the balloons. It's the first part of a certain jutsu, but it's also a very good exercise for chakra control, which you still need to refine. The stunt in the arena with Earth Chakra was terrible. You could have done the same thing using 1% of the chakra that you used, Jiraiya explained while walking. A tea house on the other side of the village. Looks like your old village took a beating, the shark-skinned man smirked. The dark-haired man beside the shark-skinned man was silent. Both wore black cloaks with red clouds. Both had forehead protectors with scratches through the village symbols. The shark-skinned man had a large sword wrapped up and strapped to his back. Should we just go in or what? The shark-skinned man pestered through razor-sharp teeth. Be quiet, the dark-haired man said quietly. We will find out much more that way. The two continued walking until a couple of Jonin who were meeting at the tea house started following them. The Jonin had been on a date and were both slightly irritated that they had to end it early. When the dark-haired man turned to face the Jonin, His eyes were red pinwheels with 3 tomo. Itachi Uchiha, Kurenai gasped, trying to snare him in a genjutsu. Itachi turned the genjutsu back on Kurenai saying, "Genjutsu won't work on me," while disintegrating into a flock of ravens. Kurenai broke the genjutsu and dodged Itachi's shuriken as the shark-skinned man simply watched. Asuma charged, sheathing the trench dagger in his hand with blue-white chakra, but the shark-skinned man remained passive. Itachi appeared in front of Asuma's charge, but Asuma leapt away before the clone exploded. "Tell me, where is Naruto Uzumaki?" Itachi said calmly while defending against both Kurenai and Asuma. "Nobody's telling you anything." Kurenai spat. "That's too bad," Itachi intoned as the tomo in his eyes morphed into a 3-pronged fan. Itachi dodged backward quickly as several kunai flew between him and Kurenai. Kakashi appeared in between Itachi and his prey, telling the other 2 Jonin, "Don't look into his eyes." Kakashi Hatake, you are not an Uchiha. And yet, you have a Sharingan. Do you think that you can counter my Tsukuyomi with your borrowed Sharingan? Itachi asked, looking Kakashi in the eye. Kakashi found himself hung on a cross, surrounded by many clones of Itachi. They pulled out swords and repeatedly stabbed him. "Where is Naruto Uzumaki?" they asked. "You won't find out from me," Kakashi said as the Itachi clones stabbed him again. Then the next 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds will not be over soon, one Itachi said passively as many others stabbed Kakashi again. "I'm surprised that you aren't looking for Orochimaru," Kakashi said. They stabbed him again. "Where is Naruto Uzumaki?" one Itachi asked as the rest paused. "I don't know," Kakashi replied, followed by another round of swords. 71 hours, 59 minutes, 58 seconds, a different Itachi said. "I don't know where Sasuke is either," Kakashi said. One of the Itachi clones stepped forward asking, "And why would I care about Sasuke Uchiha?" While stabbing Kakashi again, "Orochimaru took him," Kakashi replied. Every Itachi stopped. It lasted only a moment. "Tell me everything about Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki," one Itachi said in forceful monotone. Kakashi collapsed next to Asuma and Kurenai. Itachi turned to the shark-skinned man saying, "We're leaving." "Why? We haven't even killed anyone yet," the shark-skinned man whined. "Kisame. We're leaving. Don't fall behind," Itachi said before leaping away. Kisame hesitated for a moment before quickly following. "Kakashi. What happened?" Kurenai asked the exhausted Jonin. "Tsukuyomi," Kakashi gasped. "Something very wrong," he continued as he collapsed. Kurenai and Asuma looked at each other before quickly carrying Kakashi to the hospital. A small town somewhere in the land of fire. "Got it," Naruto exclaimed, smiling as he popped the last balloon with a splash. It had taken 30 clones the better part of a day to get the trick, but after he'd figured it out, it hadn't taken long to pop every balloon in the bag. Jiraiya pulled a scroll from his bag and removed a rubber ball from a seal on the scroll. He held it in his hand and popped the ball. "Step 2, Naruto," Jiraiya said, handing him the scroll. "I've got to go poking around. Kushina, I trust you can get us a room for the night." Kushina nodded. "Good. I'll meet you later," he said, leaving the Uzumaki pair for a street with red lights. "He's probably going to go peeping, Kushina-sensei," Naruto commented, hoping to get the Sannin in trouble. "I wouldn't put it past him, but he'll also be gathering information on this person we're supposed to find," Kushina explained. "Let's get a room. You'll need to make some shadow clones when we get there. There are things I want to start teaching you while you practice with the ball." Kushina led Naruto to a hotel that she knew Jiraiya would find and arranged a room. Naruto kept working at the rubber ball the whole time, unable to make it do much more than jiggle a little. Kushina noted how Jiraiya was teaching Naruto and realized that he'd made it a simple matter of effort and self-discovery rather than trying to get Naruto to grasp the complexities involved. "Jiraiya is trying to teach Naruto more than just the Rasengan, but I can't figure out what he's doing," Kushina thought as she closed the door to the room. Shadow clones, Naruto. 3 of them, Kushina said sternly. Naruto created 5 shadow clones and turned back to the rubber ball. One clone used a transformation to turn into a stalagmite on the floor, while a second grabbed a stone slab, balanced it on top of the stalagmite, and started trying to sit still atop the balancing slab. 3 clones approached Kushina, who had created 2 clones of herself. Alright, we're going to break this up into 3 parts. Before we separate, I'll quickly explain the basics. Seals are the specialty of the Uzumaki clan. Seals have 2 basic parts: form and function. One of you is going to learn about the form of seals. One Kushina raised her hand. One of you is going to learn about the function of seals. Another Kushina raised her hand. And one of you is going to learn the history of the Uzumaki and general seal information. The last Kushina raised her hand. After an hour, we're going to dispel the clones and discuss what you've learned. Each Kushina left with a Naruto and began lecturing on the assigned topics. The Naruto attempting stillness was slightly better off than the Naruto transformed into a training aid, but the two managed to sit still for several long stretches. The Naruto with the rubber ball made the most noise, grunting and screaming at the ball. After an hour of practice, the rubber ball still wouldn't pop, but the 3 clones learning about seals dispersed, giving Naruto sudden inspiration. The ball popped on his next attempt and he smiled at his success. Naruto number 3. History. I wasn't born in the Leaf Village, although my village and the Leaf Village had long ties. The whirlpool symbol that the leaf uses is a reminder of the long friendship between the leaf and the whirlpool villages. I was sent to the leaf during the Second Great Ninja War, so I escaped the fate of the whirlpool village. While I was at the academy in the leaf, several other nations allied to destroy the whirlpool. They succeeded and I was adopted by the leaf. In reality, I was going to become part of the leaf anyway, but that's not relevant to this lesson. The whirlpool village housed the greatest seal masters in any of the elemental nations. They knew the secrets of seals and sealing. At its core, sealing is about creating self-sustaining jutsus. Even today, the areas around where whirlpool used to be have seals that remain active. Decades after the original seal masters created them, there are seals still functioning. Some seals create warps in time and space, such as summoning jutsus. Some seals can hold energy until triggered or trap energy until released. Some seals can hold portions of a human soul or gather chakra like a battery. Every seal is different, but the application is limited only by the seal master's skill in defining how and what the seal is supposed to do. Minato Namikaze could place a seal on anything with just a touch. Many Uzumakis could do the same. But that is a highly advanced skill. Most seals involve copious planning, which just isn't possible in the heat of battle. Explosive tags, which are very useful, aren't quick or easy to create. Creating one in battle would be like trying to forge a kunai in battle. Having the energy of an explosion condensed down into a paper tag is incredibly useful, just as having a sharp kunai is incredibly useful. Many of the things that we take for granted as ninja are a result of sealing jutsu. Kushina pulled out a family tree, with many branches missing. I'm going to tell you about all of the Uzumaki clan that I know about, she began. Naruto number 4, Sealing Form. It's important to note that a good seal is small. Concentrated. The bigger the seal, the worse the seal creator was at seal craft. The seal function will be part of determining the size of the seal, but the smaller the final seal, the more efficient the seal. Flourishes and markings can be a necessary part of the seal, but the most useful seals are the ones that can last the longest and take the most effort to disrupt. Complicated seals are easier to disrupt because they have so much that can go wrong. When you look at a summoning contract, what you're really looking at is a seal. Complicated summoning contracts invoke entire clans of summoning animals, while simpler summoning contracts can summon a specific animal. When you look at a storage seal, it's the same thing. Complicated seals invoke a larger number of stored items or space, while simpler seals invoke a smaller number of stored items or space. However, condensing the amount of complexity of a seal as part of giving a seal good form. Much like tying a knot, two different seals can accomplish the same thing. One will be a mess of rope wrapped around itself until it holds, while the other will be a simple twist of the rope. Kushina held a rope and showed a square knot compared with a mess of rope tied repeatedly. Let me show you the difference between good forms and bad forms, she said as she started showing Naruto many different seals lined up on a scroll. Naruto number 5, Sealing Function. When you think about what you want a seal to do, that's its function. But each seal is a little different. Each seal is composed of a chakra matrix that does something very specific. Sometimes, the chakra matrix can store things as in storage seals and explosive tags. Other times, the chakra matrix does something like in a summoning seal. What you have to realize is that you have to formulate the chakra matrix based on the function of the seal. When you disperse and learn about form, you'll understand a little bit better what I mean, but the chakra matrix is the heart of the seal. By adding chakra to the matrix, certain things can happen. Charging a storage seal with chakra will release whatever is stored within the seal, for example. Some seals, however, don't do anything when you disturb the chakra matrix. The seal that keeps the kyuubi inside of you, for example, is a locked seal. Any excess chakra in the seal is absorbed by the seal and distributed through your system. That's partly why you have so much chakra. The kyuubi's chakra has been leaking out of the seal for many years, but it doesn't activate the seal because that's not the seal's function. An explosive tag will release its explosive energy when charged with chakra because it's just a storage seal. We're going to go over the 3 basic seals: summoning, storage, and containment. From these 3 basic seals, you can derive many other seals. Kushina unrolled a scroll and began describing the basics of the 3 seals. After the clones dispersed, now I just have to pop the rest of these rubber balls, Naruto sighed. Concentrating all of my chakra out at one point was a good idea. It made increasing the power much easier. Too bad Jiraiya wants me to practice this so much. What's the deal with sitting still on that slab? Kushina asked, looking at the transformed clone and the meditating clone. I'm not really sure. Pervy Sensei told me to learn how to stay still before he'd help with the next part. I haven't been working on it much since he gave me a bunch of elemental manipulation exercises to work on and now this extra chakra control exercise, but since we don't have the space for 20 or 50 clones, I figured now would be a good time to practice, Naruto explained. A knock at the door silenced them both. Jiraiya used windows and nobody else should have known where they were. If you open the door now, I'll just cut off your feet instead of cutting you in half, a menacing voice grated from the other side of the door.